I, nearly adult Mel, never met my father until a year ago. He bailed on my mom when she was pregnant with me, and he left town and avoided child support for years. We live in a small town, so I always heard about him. He and my mom had been a couple for about 10 years, 14 to 24, and they were engaged and everything, but apparently a kid was too much. His family wouldn't help my mom track him down, and they acted all kinds of weird around me. I cared, but not that much. My normal was just me and mom and nothing to do with my father's family. I love my mom, we're a good team, and she gave me the best life she could. We didn't always have the most, but she kept a roof over my head, and I never had to go without food. She did it all without anything from my father. And she tried many times to get child support. She even got an agency to track him down, but they said it wasn't official if he was working. By the time I was a tween, I decided it would be too late if my father ever changed his mind. He didn't get to abandon me like that and come back full of regrets. I never expected it though. Not with how good he was at hiding and how weird his family was around me. They're the kind of people who are nice to mostly everyone, but it was like they wanted to tell me to get the heck away from them, but they couldn't. Being from such a small town meant I couldn't avoid seeing them around either. But then, a year ago, my mom was contacted by my father, who reached out to tell her he was moving back and wanted a relationship with me and would pay back all he owed her. I hated the idea, but he showed up with a wife and like 5 stepkids. He acted like I was going to run out and throw myself at him or something and call him dad and stuff. Whenever I have to talk to him, I use his first name. I've shut down all attempts to have a relationship with me. He took mom to court and a judge wouldn't order parenting time, but we were forced to attend reunification therapy together once a week until I'm an adult. He doesn't let it stop him from trying to see me and trying to make me spend time with him. He's apologized and talked about all his regrets and how stepping up for his wife's kids made him realize he messed up, and he wants a chance and all that kind of bull. But it's not just him. His wife has tried sometimes. She's a lot easier to avoid because her car stands out and I just go another way if I see it. But her kids? 2 are close to my age and they're relentless. They approach me in school, in the library, at the diner where I work, and even when I'm hanging out with friends. They told me how good of a dad my father was to them, how he really wanted me in his life, and how they thought it would be cool to have another brother. I told them I wasn't interested. I ignored them. I told them hearing all that crap about the guy who abandoned me wasn't making me more open to see him, and it freaking hurt. But their team estranged father all the way, and I guess he talks to his family about the therapy sessions because they bring up stuff from there when they try to get me to bond with them or agree to be their brother or whatever. Last Friday is when I might have gone too far. Maybe. I was working after school and they showed up with their 3 younger siblings and tried to talk about my father. My boss had to ask them to leave and warn them they wouldn't be allowed back in if they kept interrupting stuff. They waited for me, followed me to the library, and sat at the table where I was studying. I had to leave after only 15 minutes because I couldn't concentrate. When we got outside, I lost my temper, and I told them to go kick rocks and leave me alone. I didn't want to be their brother. I didn't want a relationship with their dad. I wanted them all to get the heck away and go back to wherever they moved from and pretend they didn't know me because I didn't want to know any of them. Then I said my father could drop dead for all I care when the oldest, I think, told me how much it meant to my father. Then I said I'd rather be homeless on the streets than part of their crappy family. The younger kids were upset and the older 2 were shocked and angry. I didn't stick around or apologize or try to say anything calmer. I just left. But people heard me and it was the talk of the town all weekend and my father blamed my mom. It came up in our therapy appointment yesterday and he's mad but still won't freaking leave. He said it wasn't right what I did but he won't give up. He told me I owed his stepkids an apology and I'm not doing that. I ignored the stuff he said about why I needed to, but I know this will remain an issue. Maybe I wasn't fair, especially when there were younger kids right there. Am I the idiot? Edit, he's paying child support back in installments. It's not the whole thing, but the money helps for sure. Absolutely not the idiot. You've been more patient than most people would be. Your dad and his new family are acting like you're a side quest. They just unlocked it, but you never signed up to play. The fact that his stepkids are borderline stalking you is weird, and the therapy session should be about what you need, not forcing a relationship you never asked for. You don't owe them an apology for setting boundaries, especially after they ignored every polite way you tried to shut it down. If anything, they owe you one for not respecting your space. I've never heard of reunification therapy, although the name is self-explanatory, but any therapy will fail unless both people are invested in it. You, very understandably, aren't. I'm sorry you have to deal with that for another year, but hopefully with enough ignoring and not engaging, they will both realize it's useless. Unfortunately, your father is a total narcissist, and his replacement family are all delusional. I really hope he shows them his true colors, gets sick of them, and abandons them as well. What about a police report for harassment? There's running into people in small towns, and then there's going into someone's work and being so disruptive that they're asked to leave. They didn't run into you at the library. They waited for you outside your work and followed you to the library. Start taking notes of every place they followed you to. If you get a restraining order from the stepmother and stepchildren, Dad is going to stop too. He's doing all this just to save face now that he moved back. He had 16 years to think about his child. He hasn't changed. He just has a new woman pulling the strings. You see it all the time. Estranged fathers wanting to reconcile because the new stepmother wants it. If you bring her children into this, she will change her tune. Yeah, this is straight stalking behavior. What a bunch of freaks. Who has follow a teen around town and harass him on their list of things to do? I would bet $1,000 this is all coming from the stepmother. I, male 40, have been married to my wife 39 for almost 10 years and we have 2 kids. Last week she asked if she could go out for her co-worker's birthday on Saturday. I said of course. The kids and I watched a movie, played video games and ordered pizza. She came home really late and intoxicated. As I was helping her get ready for bed, she started bragging about flirting back and forth with some 25-year-old guy and how she still got it. I laughed and said, "Okay, intoxicated lady, go to bed." On Sunday morning, she told me the story again about the 25-year-old guy and how she almost went home with him. I'm not the jealous type, I just laughed it off. She got upset and said, "Why are you not jealous? You think I'm too ugly or old to find anyone?" I said, "No, you're gorgeous and can find anyone you want. I just know your type. You're loyal. You're not a cheater. Look at you. You came home to me and even admitted flirting, which by your description was harmless fun." She didn't like my reply and has been very distant with me. I feel like I said something stupid or disappointing. I asked her multiple times what I did wrong, but she basically ignored me. Even the kids noticed that she's cold to me. Was I an idiot for the way I reacted? I'd be concerned with her whole "I almost went home with him" comment. I'm not sure what your wife is trying to get out of you, because if you did become jealous, she probably would have a problem with that too. And the fact she's acting so bad that your kids noticed is a problem. You need to have a serious conversation with her. There's more to this than harmless flirting and your reaction, in my opinion. Not the idiot, but she's playing games that you can't hope to win. Imagine telling your spouse, "I almost slept with someone else last night, but I didn't." Like that's worthy of praise. Your wife's cold demeanor tells me she's considering cheating on you and is regretting not doing it the other day. She's working up the courage in her own mind to do it. If I were you, I'd figure out how to fix this sooner than later. It won't be your fault if she cheats, but you will be dealing with the fallout. Nah, a one-time occurrence in the OP's story does not mean she cheated. But her reaction does sound like a midlife crisis. She feels old and unattractive. So she tried to recapture her youth by acting like an immature, toxic teenager. Soon she's going to act like an immature party girl. When I, 18 female, was 5, my mom married my stepdad. My stepdad's first wife died a few years before that, and my step-siblings were 8, 10 and 11 back when my mom and stepdad got married. For the first year, they go to their maternal grandparents 2 or 3 times a year for a week and longer in the summer. But then, after the first year, my stepdad didn't want them to go alone, so my parents decided that we'd take a road trip and stay for as long as my step-siblings were visiting with their family. They'd stay with their grandparents whenever they visited, but saw a bunch of family. My mom, stepdad and I would stay in these cheap, tiny places and we did nothing, except my stepdad who'd go somewhere with Wi-Fi and work from his laptop. But that was it. The few times we'd see my step-siblings while we were there, it was obvious they were being spoiled. The thing that bothers me the most now that I'm older is that we didn't see them much, and they didn't stay in the same place as us, so all it did was rub it in that they had this family who loved them and spoiled them, and they got to have so much fun, and I was bored out of my mind and left waiting to drive back with them. I did get jealous. It wasn't so bad at first. I'd be a little jealous when they left and came back with stuff, or when they got all these extra birthday and Christmas gifts, but it wasn't all that extreme. But I got really resentful after a few years of staying in crappy places and doing nothing for weeks at a time while my step-siblings had a blast. My stepdad asked a few times if I could be included in places they'd visit, and my step-siblings' grandparents always said no. My stepdad didn't even ask privately. I'd hear him ask and hear the no. So it sucked even more and I was embarrassed and hurt for a while. Then it got more awkward when my stepdad would join us for a barbecue or lunch at the step's grandparents' house. We'd all go and my stepdad's relationship with his first wife's family was weird, and those people couldn't have been more obvious that they didn't want us there. I was left watching kids play together and I was ignored except for my mom and stepdad. My mom made excuses about why we did it and she'd tell me it wouldn't last forever. When I got older, I pushed back on the weeks of my life spent like that while my step-siblings got to have fun. My mom claimed the reverse was true, but she could never say when. I had no extended family. My dad bailed the second he found out Mom was pregnant with me, and his family didn't want to get to know me either. We weren't wealthy, so I didn't do summer camps or extracurriculars. Maybe we could have afforded it if we hadn't spent money on places to stay when my step-siblings went to their family. I hoped the end would come when my step-siblings moved out, but the year after the youngest one left, we still followed them out. This is only the second year we haven't done it, but my parents talk like they want to do it again, and the other day when they were talking about it, I blew up and said I won't go with them again. We argued and they told me the resentment was unfair and I needed to let it go because I don't have a good reason to resent them. I told them I'm allowed to resent them after they dragged me to another state in dumps where I got to do nothing for weeks at a time. I told them they had no idea what it's like for a kid to go where they're not wanted and sit doing nothing while all the other kids get to have fun. My parents told me we do things for family sometimes. I said that was bull. Am I the idiot? Edit, these aren't my stepdad's parents. They're his former in-laws, so the dead wife's parents. It made the whole thing even more complicated and weird. It's a whole different dynamic of the stepfather wanting to bring his new wife along to his dead wife's family events. Little wonder it was awkward as heck. OP, you are definitely not the idiot though. Your mom and stepdad are tone deaf. Also, the maternal grandparents could have come to visit their grandchildren. Right? The road goes in both directions. I can understand attending larger family events if more of them live out there, but for Pete's sake, his new wife and stepkid don't need to go, especially if they exclude the child. Oh, good grief, why drag you through this? They don't want you there, you don't want to be there, you can take care of yourself. This isn't family as they don't consider you family. I agree, be firm and calm, but no, you're not going. And why? We do things for family, yes, which is why your mom should have stayed at home with you because you are family and you shouldn't have been treated that way. As a mom, there's no scenario where I put my child in the position your mom willingly put you in over and over again. In an effort to keep her stepkids and your stepfather happy, she made the decision to put you in untenable situations. Which is so telling. OP wasn't treated like family. Crap mom, crap stepdad. Crap step everyone. My cousin married a man with a child. Our entire family embraced this child and treated her like she belonged. That's empathy. Something OP's mom and stepfamily have zero of. Not the idiot for resenting your parents, you should. And they're idiots. I usually give my co-worker a ride on the way back from work, driving 5 miles out of my way daily to drop him off at his place because he doesn't have a car. I've been doing that for about 2 years and haven't asked for anything. He's never offered. Yesterday, I was at the vending machine and wanted a soda. I was short $1 and had left my wallet in my car. I would usually go get my wallet, but waiting for the elevators at my workplace takes forever, so I asked if he could spot me $1 for the soda. He refused and said, "Just use your own money, man. I don't give money to friends or co-workers, sorry." I was taken aback by that comment because I've spent well over $1,500 in gas over the past 2 years for this guy, and he can't even spot me $1 just this once. I got pretty angry by that, and once it hit 5, I told him I was not going to give him free rides anymore. He seemed upset and said I was petty. Am I the idiot? Just use your own money, man. Oh, well, isn't that an interesting response from someone you've literally been helping for the last 2 years? Not an idiot, but you were petty. I don't necessarily think these two things are incompatible. You basically matched his energy. He can choose not to give money, which is 100% his right. You can decide to stop giving him free rides, but you should know that this will drastically deteriorate your relationship and they will make a big deal out of it. You shouldn't worry about what others say. You can repeat this story to other people and say that you've learned a lesson about not being nice to colleagues. Hetty has been accepting free rides for 2 years and not only not offering to pay but not spotting for a vending machine snack. So you don't get rides from me and I won't ask you for another can of soda. Done. Right? How is it he didn't say, I got you, and buy him the soda? Maybe throw down a snack. 2 years of free rides? Sheesh. If I do someone favour after favour after favour, and on the one occasion that I ask for one I basically get told to get stuffed, then it's over with the favours. This isn't pettiness, this is setting things in balance. OP, he is entitled and thinks you owe him.